Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. So Saida has been out for a while now and we have a good idea of how she is performing in the different game modes. We also know the strength of Baelran in endless difficulty of bosses. So now is a good time to make an updated priority tier list for the Celestial Hypogean heroes. So in the first tier, there has been a major change. For the must-have status, I only have the twins and Rainier. And by the way, the heroes positioned to the left are going to be the higher priority. So twins are the most important hero for everyone to have on their account. They are used in the top team for every single Dream Realm boss, for pre-endless as well as endless stage of bosses. Also for AFK stages, you're almost always going to be using the twins. Basically, the twins are the most powerful PvE hero in AFK Journey by a huge margin as well. So you have to build them up. So really the new priority will be rushing the twins to Supreme Plus as quickly as you can. However, along with that, there are some heroes which do decently even at one copy. For example, Fresto at one copy has some uses, which we'll talk about when we get to Fresto. Either way, twins rushing to Supreme Plus basically is the new priority. But after the twins, I also consider Rainier, which is crazy because Rainier is a global launch Celestial Hypogean hero. I would not have predicted that he is still such an important hero to have on your account. And the reason for that is in Dream Realm, now, not for endless bosses, he is not amazing. He is only used in a couple of bosses. However, for the pre-endless Dream Realm bosses, Rainier is going to be used in almost every single team. And if you don't have him, you're going to miss out on quite a lot of scores for that pre-endless stage of Dream Realm, which does last for over a month of a season. The other thing is that Rainier only needs to be taken to Mythic Plus to get his full value. So there's only 8 copies needed. One of them you're going to get from the login event that was going on at the beginning of your account. And so really he's easy to get up to that Mythic Plus level. He doesn't need any more investment after that, and he will make a game-changing impact onto your account. So I think both Twins to Supreme Plus, Rainier to Mythic Plus, these are both must-haves, and everyone should aim for them on their account. Now for the next sub tier, this is where things have changed and honestly gotten crazy, because previously Fresto was a must-have hero. However, the problem is Fresto is not good for pre-endless Dream Realm bosses because he's only good for Dream Realm bosses when his damage comes online, which is only for endless bosses because he deals HP per second damage. But up until like recently, Fresto was one of the top endless damage dealers due to his high damage output. But then we got Shimira, who kind of power crept Fresto out of some bosses. Then we've now gotten Baelran and Pandora, and now Fresto is basically as good as toast. He is not that useful for many Dream Realm bosses, and really he's only used either to feed Harak food, or he's used to like be gulped by the Crazed Shell Brute boss. Now that's what I'm talking about. For Crazed Shell Brute, the thing is, you can use Fresto even at low copies. As long as Fresto is able to survive long enough to be gulped, he doesn't even need high ascension. He can even work at one copy when we've made it to endless bosses. Of course, when you're at the pre-endless stage and the boss hits pretty hard, your Fresto might die before actually being gulped, and then you might need a few more copies up to Legendary Plus. But really, right now, Fresto is not a major priority to get to that higher ascension tier because he's not used in the best team for anything other than Crazed Shell Brute and Necrodraken currently. A lot of the other bosses are going to be using Baelran, and Baelran is the best, basically, Celestial Hypogean endless damage dealer for Dream Realm. He is the best at that. He is the best in 4 out of 8 of the Dream Realm bosses, whereas Fresto is only in 2 and Harak is only in 1. So that is crazy, honestly. So that is why Baelran basically is going to be the most important hero to build up after you have the twins and Rainier to build up. And like you can take your Fresto to like, if we still have Crazed Shell Brute in the future, you might want to have Legendary plus Fresto for pre-endless stages, but like for endless, 1 copy is probably enough, and then you just go all in for Baelran as your next celestial hero, because he is meta for 4 out of 8 of the bosses in endless difficulty. And a big portion of the season, like actually right now we still have 45 days left, is all going to be endless Dream Realm bosses. And we even started endless Dream Realm maybe like a month ago. So this is where Baelran is going to get massive value for like 2 to 2.5 months each season we have, at least as of right now. Of course, he could be power crept in the future. Any damage dealer is always susceptible to power creep when a better damage dealer comes out. But for right now, Baelran is that next priority to be building up. So we talked about Fresto. He's basically Harak food or Crazed Shell Brute being gulped. Of course, Fresto is very very unique because he summons, like, he has two bodies on the field and they're both independent of each other. So like in any bosses that like need to crowd control, like Elusia, he can turn Fresto and the illusion both into a cat. Crazy Shell Brute can gulp both Fresto and his illusion. So basically, for the price of one hero, you're basically getting what normally would need two heroes to do that job. So Fresto is unique for that, and also for AFK stages, he can be good. But the thing is, he is being phased out as a damage dealer. He's not used as a damage dealer anymore. He's used as for these utility roles or food for Harak. And then we have Harak. So this is the problem with Harak. Harak is good. And certain bosses, like, there's no competing with him. Like Necro Draken, Harak is a massive score boost. If you don't have Harak, you're going to be like almost 100 billion damage lower score in the endless stage we're at right now. Also, Harak is overall good for Plague Creeper. However, Baelran is even power crept Harak out of Plague Creeper. However, for pre-endless stage of boss, like a Plague Creeper boss, probably Harak still would be meta for that. But either way, Harak is unique. He's very niche, but certain bosses he does do well in, and so he still is considered meta, and like still building him up wouldn't be a bad thing. However, it is not as big of a priority as Baelran. And the other thing about Harak is that you need to build Fresto along with him. And now that Fresto has become less important, I'm just like, leaning towards the idea of just skip Fresto and Harak for newer players and just do Twins, Rainier, Baelran. And then, you will suffer in Necro Draken, but other than that, like, you can use a one copy Fresto for Crazy Shell Brute and be just fine. So basically, that is the thing about these heroes. And also as more and more time goes on, they're more and more likely to be power crept. Baelran probably is going to be pretty solid because like he doesn't have any negative effects. Harak is going to eat your own team and he needs to be run with Fresto, and Fresto isn't that good anymore. So like that's a problem basically with that core that is needed. Okay, moving on to the PvP and niche heroes. So here we have heroes which are just the luxury heroes. These are not heroes which are a major priority for you to be building up. Now, as for the ordering, I've ordered it PvP and then kind of niche. Now, if your emphasis is AFK stages and you want to always have the meta, like pushing massively in infinite AFK stages, Saida would be number one, because Saida is very good for AFK stage pushing. She does something no one else can do: massive damage and massive crowd control more than any other hero. So if you're an AFK stage pusher, yes, Saida. Also, the Primal Lord coming up, which is Crystal Caller, Saida is the best by a big margin. If you have Saida, you're going to be having a big score gap compared to people who don't, but she needs to be invested. She needs to be like plus 15 exclusive equipment minimum. So that is the thing about that. Now, the thing I'm thinking about, because usually Primal Lord bosses are eventually incorporated into your Dream Realm lineup of bosses. If this Crystal Caller somehow becomes a Dream Realm boss and it has the same mechanics and Saida is still the top performing hero there, then honestly, Saida is even going to move up to next subcategory. But for right now, we have no confirmation of that. It's not a guarantee that every Primal Lord boss is going to make its way into the Dream Realm rotation, especially because we have 3 Primal Lord bosses this season. So yeah, and we also don't know what will be the mechanics of him if he does enter the Dream Realm. Will he have different mechanics? Will he still be crowd controllable? Because Saida can control him in the Primal Lord. That's why she's so good. Okay, but basically that. If you're progressing PvP, it is going to be Athalia. Then it can be Dunlinger or Cryonite. After that, Dunlinger is the best, basically, PvP tech hero. Cryonite is still a very solid nuker that can counter annoying enemy teams. And then you have Kulu, who can be decent for AFK stages, decent for PvP, but not as important as Saida, in my opinion. Like, if I were to pick between the two, I would probably pick Saida because Saida is more important for AFK stages. Kulu can work even at one copy quite a bit for AFK stages. And then also, we don't know. Like, Kulu, generally for Dream Realm, not really useful. But Saida, we don't know what type of bosses we're going to see in the future. I have no idea if Saida is going to be useful, because if she's able to control a boss, she is going to deal her massive damage. And then we have the pass here. These are heroes which I think you should not be focusing or building right now. Now, of course, like, people ask me, like, my Talene is at Supreme. Should I get another 4 copies to Supreme Plus just to use her in PvP for those Ascension stats? That is personally up to you, honestly. Like, if you really want to use Talene a lot in PvP, then it would make sense for you to just, finish the investment, get her to Supreme Plus. But the thing is, Talene is just not great anywhere anymore. For Dream Realm, she's completely power crept out after Shamir has arrived. arrived for AFK stages. Nope, there's so many better heroes than her now. And then for PvP, yes, Talene is fine, but honestly, like for example, my account, right? I have most heroes all built up and all Paragon maxed. I hardly ever use Talene because they're just better heroes, better team comps you can run, even in Supreme Arena. Talene is fine, but definitely usable if you're limited on options. Not a bad hero, but just not quite up there. And then we have Diurnal, and actually I use Diurnal in Supreme Arena, my defenses, and I think Diurnal is strong, but I just cannot warrant people building him up right now. Like, personally, I just feel like Cryonite is just so much more unique than Diurnal, but Diurnal is a massive nuker as well. So, like, really, this is a bit down to preference, how I've ordered the list here. You could, like, move some of these heroes up to the PvP niche tier if you really want to build them. Scarlita is also, I'm using her on my Supreme Arena defense, so it's, like, funny that I put them in past, but honestly, like, if I didn't have them built, I probably would not touch them because I'm just like, it's just a matter of time. The global launch heroes, they're getting weaker and weaker as more and more heroes come out. Diurnal somehow, and also the Supreme Plus skill upgrade of Scarlita, they have basically done enough to make these heroes still meta. But Burial is just the worst. Burial is like complete past here. Do not touch Burial. He is not a good idea to invest into. Who knows what will happen with the Supreme Plus skill upgrade, but I just can never see him actually ever being meta. So anyway, guys, that is the overall priority tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it's helpful. If you have any other tips or any other opinions, feel free to share in the comment section down below. Of course, this is my opinion. I try to justify my reasoning and positioning of the heroes, but there could be different positioning depending on your own priorities, a slightly different positioning. But for the most part, this is going to be pretty accurate. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please smash that subscribe button. Also, feel free to join my AFK Journey Discord server. There's a link to that in the description of this video. And finally, if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Firelight store. There is a link to that in the description of this video and a pinned comment. This is the best way you can support me at no extra cost to you. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.